Welcome to another episode of the series where we create a custom sound palette for a TV show from scratch. Just as a reminder, if you don't know, the result will become a free virtual instrument available from my company Sonora Cinematic. We should probably have a name for this series. How about the Sample Lab? I think I like it. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. If you missed the first episode, here's a quick recap of what we've done. I've asked ChatGPT to help me craft a treatment for a pretend Netflix series called Shifting Tides. It's based on the top 5 TV series in the UK at the time of starting this project. Our series is based in 1980s Tokyo at the peak of the financial boom. These are some mock-ups from the first video, and by the way, make sure you watch it if you missed it. It's time to add some more elements to our story. Let's talk a little bit more about the setting and let's start to outline the characters. The city of Tokyo seems very important in the storytelling. I've interrogated ChatGPT about this and I got some interesting facts. Here are a couple. The dichotomy of modernity and tradition mirrors the characters' inner struggles, and key locations include Shinsei Capital's leak offices, we already knew these from the first video, a secretive countryside retreat, and Tokyo's vibrant underground nightlife scene. The city itself becomes a character, reflecting the cultural collisions at the heart of the story. A bit cliché if you ask me, I guess it's reassuring if you're a scriptwriter. Here are some mock-ups of the secretive countryside retreat, and here's a glimpse into Tokyo's vibrant underground nightlife in the world of Shifting Tides. Now I want to know more about the main character, Emma Harlow. We know that she's a brilliant but emotionally guarded young woman. We know that she was raised in London and that after her Japanese father's mysterious death, she returns to Tokyo to unravel his secrets and sort of redefine her future. And we know that her sharp intelligence and fluency in Japanese grant her access to Shinsei Capital, but her lack of trust becomes both her strength and her weakness in this story. Now that we have some more elements to our story, it's time to make some sounds. I thought quite hard about what would be next after creating the electronic percussions and the synth pulses that we did in the first video, and I think we should definitely get working on some strings. Strings are a film composer staple and are definitely going to be part of my palette when scoring a TV series. But I want to make them a little special. I want to come up with something really unique for this series. And I think I've had a great idea. Let's see if you agree. This series, as always with great storytelling, is shaped by contrast. A secretive countryside retreat versus Tokyo's nightlife, Emma's inner conflicts, the clash of different cultures. So I want to create playable strings that are capable of mirroring this contrast by morphing from an intimate ensemble to a large, augmented, dramatic signature sound. The exciting thing is that we recorded some actual strings for this project, as always in collaboration with Sonora Cinematic. Thank you so much to my team. And remember that these are going to be yours for free. I'm going to create 3 ensemble string patches with a twist. Before we get into the programming, I wanted to let you have a little peek, a little glimpse into the editing session. For this, we recorded a 20-piece string section, which is a very nice size for what we want to do. We recorded separately first violins, 6 players, second violins, 4 players, violas, also 4 players, and then cellos, 3 players, and basses, 3 players. All these were recorded with several mic positions, but I've prepared 3 mixes of these, and the result is 3 to 5 stems depending from the section, which I've now mixed specifically for this project. I went for a pretty dry, focused mix, which I think works pretty well with the medium, small section we're working with, and will work nicely for what I want to do. Our editors carefully put cycle markers with pitch names, so now I can just export all these using the cycle marker as a token for the file name. Now let's have a listen to what we recorded. We have 3 articulations. The first one is a pianissimo non vibrato sustained note. We have these across the whole ensemble and it gives you this very pure pianissimo tone. I have some external reverb on these. Then we recorded what we called hairpins after what it looks like in the score, and these are very dramatic, playable crescendo and decrescendo. And finally, some sustained notes with a nice vibrato. We sampled this in 3 different dynamics for the first violins and in 2 dynamics for each section of the ensemble. So for this patch, I can use the mod wheel to crossfade between dynamic layers. But the really cool thing is the way I'm planning on programming these samples. Here's my idea. We're trying to make ensemble patches for this instrument, which basically means that rather than having violins, violas, cello and bass split between different patches in Kontakt, we want to have everything in one patch. I love ensemble patches. I think they're massively underrated. Maybe they don't have the flexibility of single sections, but it's so nice to actually play strings across the entire sampled range. Now, when you have a string section, violins, violas, cello and basses all have overlapping ranges. The bass range overlaps with the cello overlaps with the violas, and so on. When I orchestrate, I love the powerful sound of strings doubling in unison. With this, basically, I mean cello and bass, or violas, first and second violins, or playing the exact same note rather than doubling 1 or 2 octaves apart. So the idea is to add a control that adds this doubling so that you can essentially make the section bigger, not just louder, gradually. Let's get into Kontakt and let me show you how. I'm gonna do this with the non-vibrato patch first. I've already mapped all the samples and I've looped them all so that if I hold the note for longer than the sample duration, it won't just stop. Great. And if you look at the mapping, you'll see that I've already divided the range between sessions. So from here to here, you have the basses, and then the cello start, and here's where the viola start, and then second violins, first violins, and so on. Now I'm going to create 5 more groups where I'm going to put all the single sections, so there is going to be some overlap, and this is going to be very boring to see on camera. So I've actually already prepared one that we can use. Okay, I have 5 extra groups, and now at this point there are some samples that are going to play twice, of course. You see that in the basses, for example, I have the bottom range of the basses both in the single section group and the ensemble group. So at this point the job is to delete all the duplicates. In the basses I'm gonna delete part of the range that is already in the ensemble group, and I'm gonna do the same for cellos, violas, violins 2 and violins 1. I've actually already done it so that we don't need to waste time, and you see that there are some missing spots. So now if I play this, I should hear all the groups playing together, meaning both the ensemble and the unison doubling. Nice, it sounds full and lovely, and effectively I am playing a larger section at this point, as all the overlapping notes are being doubled by another set of players. But the idea of this was to have control over the volume of the doubling so that I could slowly add it in. There are a couple of different ways we can go about this. Here's one. So here's what I can do. I can select all the single section groups. I'm gonna set edit flag for selected groups, and here I'm gonna add a modulator, set it to external source MIDI CC, and it's already set to 1, which is my mod wheel. I have my mod wheel here as well. The second value is the starting value of the controller, so we can leave that to 0, and then I'm gonna create a curve. I'm gonna click on active, and I want a curve that is actually not linear like that, but is a bit like this. And now basically this table is controlling with the mod wheel the volume of all these groups. So check this out. I love how it changes from focused and intimate to big. And here's with the hairpins. Of course, on the final product, we're going to build an interface and we're going to find the best way to control all of this. This is all very temporary. Now, for the vibrato patch, things are a little more complicated because we also have different dynamics to account for. Let's have a look. Here's how this one's organized. You see that on the first 3 groups, I have only the first violins and I have only the top octave mapped over here. I have 3 groups because for the first violins, I have 3 different dynamic layers: piano, mezzo forte, and forte. So now what I need to do, and I've actually already done it, is to set up another MIDI CC modulator as an external source, exactly like I did on my non-vibrato patch. And since there are 3 different dynamic layers for the first violins, I want to draw modulation curves that look like this. This is the first layer, and the second layer looks like this as it happens around the mid values of the module range, and then the final one looks like this. And I can crossfade from piano to forte. That's great. Group 4 and 5 have the rest of the ensemble, and they'll do exactly the same thing, but with only 2 modulation curves. Now I have a nice sounding ensemble patch with crossfading dynamics. And of course, now we want to add more groups for the unison doubling. As you probably noticed, I've already done this. It's going to be exactly the same as for the non-vibrato patch, but we just need a lot more groups. So we need 2 for the extra violas, 2 for the extra celli, 2 for the extra basses, 2 for the extra second violins, and 3 for the extra first violins, as again, we have 3 different dynamics layer there. All these have the exact same crossfading curves as for their main ensemble counterpart, but with the overlapping notes removed, exactly the same as we did for the non-vibrato patch. Now, the slight variation that I have compared to the non-vibrato patch is that now I have the module busy on the dynamics crossfading, so that I can't use it to control the volume of the unison doubling. Or well, I could, but then I would miss out on the piano dynamics for the unison doubling. So what I want to do for now, and I'm still thinking about what is the best way to organize this for the final product. But for now, I'm going to set edit flag, and I'm going to set all the extra groups to a bus 2. So I'm going to change the routing in Kontakt, and all these are going to go to a separate bus, and I can just control separately the volume of this bus. So this is without extra doubling. And this controls the dynamic, and then I can slowly fade in also the extra players. And here they are. And of course, I can learn the MIDI control for this volume controller as well, so I can control using several sliders both the dynamics crossfade and the volume of the unison doubling. I'm very happy with this, but we're going to add a last touch. I want to augment the non-vibrato and the vibrato patch with a synth layer. Just as a reminder, this series is set in the 80s, which of course is the golden age of synthesizers. We covered this well in the first video of this series. I thought it would be cool if we also had a way to sort of augment our acoustic strings with a synth layer. So let's make some synth sounds. I have a whole video about making synth strings from very classic to ultra modern. I'm going to add a link up here. For this, I want a very analog, gently detuned synth strings patch. I made it on my sequential OB6, which has just the perfect sound for this. I actually have a template for sampling synths. It's very simple. Basically, it's a series of MIDI notes, and you see here I have the whole diatonic range of the synth. I also have another version for a chromatic sampling, depending on what I want to sample, different ranges, all that kind of thing. And then I can just send the MIDI MIDI note to the OB6 in this case, or whatever other synth I'm sampling. And then I have a simple audio track, we can call this synth strings or something like that. And of course the cycle markers with the pitch names on it, which I can use as a token for the file name when exporting. We already looked into this in my first video to this series. So I'm now just gonna run the synth, I'm gonna program a sound, I'm gonna let the synth record, and then we can export it. Now I mapped it all and looped it, and here's how it sounds on its own. Now I'm going to add it to my non-vibrato and vibrato patches, and I route it to another bus in Kontakt. And we're done. Let's hear how these patches morph from a small focus string section to a larger one with several notes doubled in the middle of the range to a hybrid acoustic synthetic section. I'm really happy with this instrument, it's turning out very cool and I can't wait to share it with you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next episode, and I would also suggest subscribing to the Sonora Cinematic newsletter. We share the release of new episodes from this series there, and we'll announce when the instrument is ready for free. Also, we just released a very cool free instrument for Audio Modern Soundbox. You can have a look here. See you next time.